Everyone in town knew the millionaire who lived behind the tall iron gates, a man who once filled his home with laughter, but now carried a silence heavier than his wealth. His daughters were the only pieces of joy he had left, and after a recent tragedy that shook his world, he became more protective than ever. Every morning he stood by the window, searching for reasons to move forward, until one unexpected voice changed everything. She approached the mansion quietly, a young girl from the nearby streets whom everyone recognized but few truly noticed. Her clothes were worn, her backpack half torn, and yet her eyes held a gentleness that life's hardships had never stolen. She never begged, never caused trouble, never raised her voice. She simply blended into the background of the neighborhood while trying to survive day by day. Today, however, she gathered courage she didn't know she had. The millionaire was walking toward his car when she stepped forward cautiously, keeping a respectful distance. She spoke softly, almost afraid her presence would be unwelcome. "Sir, those girls, they live on my street." Her voice trembled, not because she feared him, but because she feared being misunderstood. She had seen his daughters from afar, watched them hurrying to school with their driver, watched their quiet faces and the way they held onto each other as if the world outside their home felt too big. He turned toward her, surprised. People rarely approached him, especially not someone from her circumstances. Yet her sincerity was impossible to ignore. Explained that she often saw the girls sitting alone on their front steps, not playing with other children, not laughing, just carrying a sadness they were too young to understand. She didn't come to complain or accuse, she came because their loneliness reminded her of her own. The millionaire listened, caught between confusion and concern. He didn't expect someone who struggled herself to care so much about problems that weren't her own. There was something disarming about her honesty. He told him she often walked behind his daughters on their way home, just to make sure they reached safely, even though they never knew she did it. Not for reward, not for attention, just because she knew what it felt like to walk alone. He felt something soften inside him, a feeling he hadn't allowed himself to experience in months. This girl, with nothing in her pockets except hope, had noticed his children more closely than any adult in his wealthy circle ever had. She saw details he had missed, details hidden under silence. As she spoke, the morning sun reflected across her face, revealing a quiet strength shaped not by comfort but by resilience. And for the first time since his sorrow began, the millionaire felt a small shift in his world, an opening he didn't expect, brought by someone he never imagined would stand before him. He thanked her gently, promising he would pay closer attention. But as she walked away, he realized her words carried more meaning than she understood. She had spoken with empathy, not judgment, and those few truthful words lingered in his mind long after she disappeared down the street. The next day, the millionaire couldn't shake the conversation from his mind. He found himself watching his daughters more closely, noticing things he had overlooked, quiet glances, forced smiles, moments when they hesitated before speaking. They were trying to be strong for him, just as he had been trying to be strong for them, and somehow both sides ended up hiding their hurt. Realized the girl from the street had seen something he hadn't, children recognizing pain in each other, even when adults didn't. Later that week, he unexpectedly found the young girl again. She was sitting on a low wall near the school, sketching something in a small notebook. When he approached, she immediately stood up, embarrassed, tucking the book against her chest. He asked to see it, and after a moment of hesitation, she slowly opened the pages. Inside were drawings of his daughters, not perfect portraits, but gentle impressions of them smiling, laughing, imagining moments she wished they had. The millionaire was moved. He had drawn what she hoped they felt, not what they showed. It was kindness expressed through art, something she had taught herself during hard times. She admitted she sketched them because she didn't want them to feel invisible. She knew what invisibility felt like. She had felt it every day. He realized then that this girl, despite having so little, carried the ability to see beyond silence, in others and in herself. She didn't judge his situation. She didn't pity his daughters. She simply cared. That afternoon, he invited her to walk with him and the girls. First, his daughters were shy, unsure who she was, but her gentle nature quickly reached them. She asked them simple questions, about their favorite colors, their pets, their hobbies, and they answered with a sincerity he hadn't seen from them in a long time. A warm connection grew naturally, without force. By the time they returned home, the girls were smiling softly, as if a weight they didn't know they carried had lifted. The millionaire watched them, realizing the homeless girl had done something he struggled to do, remind his children that the world still held kind people. He offered her a chance to help the family, not out of charity, but because he believed she deserved a safe environment and a chance to use her heart in ways that could change lives. He didn't hand her money or sympathy, he offered opportunity and respect. He accepted, humbled and grateful. In the weeks that followed, the mansion felt different. The girls talked more, drew more, laughed more, and the young girl found a place where she didn't feel invisible anymore. She didn't replace anyone, she simply added light to a home that desperately needed it. And although she came from the hardships of the street, she carried something more valuable than wealth, compassion that reached the places sorrow had once settled.